Are you feeling drained in your job and it's been going on for such a long time you just can't figure out how to get out of it? And you've even tried getting more rest or drinking more coffee as your solution. And neither of these are working, and they won't, because they're not real solutions to your real problem. In this episode, I'll show what you need to stop doing and what you need to start doing to get your spark, vim, and energy back. And it's not massages and bubble baths.
Hey, Creating Maven. I'm Joy Spencer, your Reframe specialist, with one important message. Your real work, it's not your job or your career. Your real work is what you create. And what you create is what sets you apart and makes you incomparable. It's your legacy. I'm here to show you a whole new way of working so you can create with your gifts, make a unique contribution, and finally get paid to be yourself. This is Reframe to Create.
I want you to imagine you're in front of a fire that's starting to rage out of control. What do you do? What do you do? What? Oh, wait, look, over there. There's a tap and a container underneath it, and you can use it to collect some water. Great. You run over, you turn on that tap, and you lift the container only to realize, it's a sieve. You watch in horror as all the water leaks out. Just whoosh. That's you some days, isn't it? The day starts out okay enough, but right when you need it the most, when you need the energy, it just drains right out of you. And you just can't put your finger on why this keeps happening. I know all about this. In fact, I've noticed it happening more and more during a certain type of life and soul-sucking meeting. You know the one. The meeting that's about meetings. Stab me in the eye right now. I don't know why this has become a thing. I go into these things with the best of intentions to be fully present and just, show up alive. But within minutes, it's like water through a sieve and my energy is gone and my entire life seems to be leaving me and I am completely drained. I mean, it is intense. This intense heaviness that comes over me. It feels like a heavy weight. And I know that it's not just me. I've been hearing this a lot from clients and friends, just everybody. Folks are tired. You're tired. And just tired so much of the time. And it seems almost impossible to get out of the slog that has become jobs. So how are you doing? Are you tired? Are you feeling drained? I imagine you are, if the title of this episode appealed to you. So what is going on? What's really going on when you're feeling drained and what can you do about it? Well, what's not happening is that you're not really tired. That's not what's happening in these job settings. I mean, unless your doctor has told you that you have very low iron levels, you're not really tired. What I'm observing that is making people feel tired and drained these days is actually chaos masquerading as constant change. That's what constant change without a clear purpose or vision really is. It's just chaos. And many organizations are drowning in internal chaos as they try to navigate a changing world. And they don't know how to create internal stability and adaptability to pair together at the same time internally in order to navigate external changes. They get stuck in a change for change's sake drama, and they think that that's them responding to a changing environment. And the proof that this is what's happening is in the results. Their people are feeling drained. You're feeling drained. So it's not you or your iron levels, honey. It's the environment and the chaos that's becoming the norm. But what can you do? 3 things. 1, understand the difference between necessary change and chaos. Just understand what's happening to you. Awareness goes a long way in turning down the volume of the drama in your head. It's not you, it's the environment. When you are feeling drained, start to pay closer attention to your environment. All of your environments. Your physical environment, your relationship environment, your mental and emotional environment. What is happening in your environment? What do you see? What do you not see? What triggers you in this environment? What are the consistent sources of chaos and disorder? Sometimes this is people who are always bringing the drama. Pay closer attention and observe your before and after. Which settings do you go into with high energy and then leave drained? Which settings do you go into with low energy and you come out with high energy? Which settings do you go into where you feel pretty good and you come out of it even better, like ecstatic? Start being a better observer of your environment and the impact it's having on you. The ones that are generative and life-giving and the ones that are draining. Observe. Because the draining environments, no matter what they say, they're really not about transformation and growth, which is the type of change that we can all get behind. No, they are about confusion and chaos. And if you always walk around confused and experiencing a type of internal chaos, you know this is an environment that drains. Now, if you can do something about your interaction in these identified draining environments, good. You know what to do. Run, Forrest, run, and never look back. But that's not a luxury that you have in most settings. If you can't get away, you go a long way by simply trading your role of participant in the chaos with becoming a committed observer in those settings. You want to take step 2 to heart, and that is 2, to stop consuming. Consuming drains energy, especially if you're mostly consuming chaos, whether that is visual chaos, conversational chaos, or any other kind of chaos. This thing is draining because it forces you to spend excessive amounts of energy trying to put things in order in your mind. It takes so much energy to make meaning out of meaninglessness, to make sense out of nonsense. So when you are in a chaotic environment, you need to not only step back and observe, you need to stop consuming, stop drinking the dirty water. But consuming doesn't just drain you when it's chaos that you're consuming. Even some of our more neutral forms of consumption are draining, like the things we use to entertain and distract ourselves. They also drain. That thing that has become a popular pastime when we're tired is draining our energy. Netflix and chill. All that scrolling on the internet, shows, games, we're just consume, and it's draining. It's draining you. It's not giving you room to breathe, and this is mentally exhausting. It's actually not refreshing. You're doing it to relax, but what's actually happening is you're keeping your brain on high alert all the time. Harvard Medical School researchers have shown just how disruptive the blue light from our screens, especially before bed, just how disruptive those blue lights are to our sleep and our creativity. All this consuming is draining us. All this consuming is draining you. This is something I've personally noticed when I get stuck in a YouTube short loop. I can be up till 3 a.m. getting dopamine hit after dopamine hit that's keeping me buzzed, something that doesn't happen when I read a book, which is a whole other type of consuming, and I'll talk about that later. And I can wake up like in the morning just drained, and I didn't feel tired at the time. I was just consuming, and this consuming drains me. So it's important to check your consumption levels. If you're feeling drained, check your consumption levels, not just how much chaos and drama you're consuming and participating in on your job, but how much time do you spend consuming stuff that's pouring out of screens. This is draining. Consuming drains. Consuming plugs up your creating power and overstimulates your circuit wires. If you cut your consumption, you'll discover how much energy you have and how much creating power you get back. In episode 17, The Hidden Power of Deprivation, I had my business accountability partner, Efwa, come on to talk about all the things that we learned and got out of a week-long input deprivation experiment. If you haven't listened to it and want to get a handle on your consumption, you're going to want to check it out. And 3, make room to create more. This may seem counterintuitive, especially if what you're feeling like is that you're drained and that you have no energy on your job. The last thing you want to do is something that feels like you exerting energy that you don't have, but trust me on this. Creating fuels. Even when you're tired, creating is generative and life-giving. The act of pouring out creativity is what energizes. Ask my guest Jifa, who stopped by in episode 79. What she has found is that when she's creating, she feels energized. And when she's not creating, she feels drained and like she hasn't tapped into all that she has available to her. Creating, and for her, that's creating photographs, helps her find her spark and energy when she's feeling drained. I can co-sign on this assertion because I've seen it happen to me and lots of other clients. And as soon as I unlock for myself or unlock for my client what we need to create next, the energy and the fire comes back, even if they were feeling drained and confused just before. If you're feeling drained on your job and you can't create on your job, it doesn't matter. As you know, I tell you the venue doesn't matter. What matters is that you get the reframe, that you get the narrative shift in your head, that your work is not your job or your career, but what you create. And you get to choose to do that. And what you create is going to energize you. If you're feeling drained today, it's time to check your environment, which I also help you to do in episode 5, Reframe Your Environment to Unleash Your Creating Power, because it's all about managing your energy. And then if you want to get back into the practice of creating, listen to episode 6, Establish Your Creative Hygiene Practice. These 2 episodes go hand in hand when you're feeling drained. Sorting out your environment and then getting back to creating. This is the key. Now, I mentioned that reading a book is different, even though it's a type of consumption, and I want to bring that up again. I've noticed that getting back into all things analog and in person has been a game changer for me. As I've moved from reading on screens to reading physical books I'm borrowing from the library, I find that even that is giving me life and energy and is not draining. It's even better than listening to audiobooks for me in terms of the energy boost. I also try to create on paper with a paper and pen as much as possible and to do less direct creating onto the screen. Now, this isn't always possible, but it's something I've noticed is more energizing and definitely less distracting. So think about going analog when it comes to reading and creating as much as you can. So I hope you see now that maybe when you've been feeling drained the past few days on your job, it's really not you, it's your environment. And I hope you see that there's a way to get around this. There's a way to get around this if you observe and distance yourself from the chaos, if you stop consuming the chaos and the mindless entertainment, and if you set yourself up to create even more. Trust me, you're going to watch your energy come back and that drain feeling go bye-bye. Bye-bye. You'll find that your sieve that's been leaking water is replaced by a bucket that can actually hold all the good things. Don't you want this? I think you do. Did this episode strike a chord with you? Then tell me how much you loved it by following me on LinkedIn and tell me what stood out to you and what you're going to do to put one of the things I shared here into practice so that you can go from feeling drained to being energized. See you soon, Creating Maven. Until then, remember to always ask yourself, what will I create?